We became parents, that really forced us to relive our childhood traumas that we were just sweeping under the rug. And that's where it was so toxic, because I was trying to keep up with this mask, this persona, but I was always failing. So then when I finally stopped masking, my body started to thank me for it. And I started, all my health issues, all my everyday problems just started to disappear when I stopped masking. And I started to be more myself. We want to talk about something that's not really spoken about very honestly. What a healthy relationship looks like after trauma.
Because when you lived in survival mode for most of your life, you don't actually know what healthy is supposed to look like.
All you know is intensity. You develop coping mechanisms, survival mechanisms, and getting through. Keep on keeping on.
And a lot of the advice already assumes that you were coming from a place of safety. We weren't.
So when we first got together, we were absolutely both in survival mode. We loved each other, but our nervous systems were just so on edge. What I thought love was, or what I thought a happy, healthy relationship was just sort of sculpting myself into the person that my partner needed at the time. I felt so uncomfortable being my true self. So when I finally did somewhat show you that chaotic, messy Shannon, and I only got judgment and reaction, I would just go straight back into my mask. But because, again, I was faking it and I wasn't being my true self, my body was screaming at me, my health was screaming at me, my skin was screaming at me. I just couldn't function. I couldn't even write a simple email or do a simple task. I just would go through burnout. Just always stem back to just being a really bad person or being a really bad woman, because I'm not being the woman who I was portraying to be. I would always fail. And of course I would always fail because it's not me. It comes from just me really not loving myself. I was so ashamed at the person that I was, especially towards the end of high school, that my masking or my camouflaging just took over. I was just a toxic woman.
In a woman's perspective, you weren't a toxic woman if you're a man.
But I'm a woman, so I am a toxic one. Well, I was. I knew that monogamy was the way to go, and I practiced it, but I would always fail. And I think I would always fail because I just didn't believe in it. I never saw the value in monogamy. Again, maybe that is because of my upbringing or what my norm was. But for me, there was just no value. That I was not being my true self because I was so ashamed of living in the past. I could still see my past was still in front of me. I was still living like that.
Yeah, we're trying to create this healthy relationship now only because we're not masking and not being someone that we're not supposed to be in front of each other. I had to stop judging you. I had to stop judging just everyone. I had to get out of my comfort zone and stop judging people because I wasn't doing a lot of things for myself. I wasn't helping myself for a long time and expecting people to help me and then just judging people as well.
That judgment just comes from just being quite sheltered and not really understanding what it means to live or to survive in this dog-eat-dog world.
I would listen to your past. I would say it was okay, but I felt like it was too much to show you how I was actually feeling. And not that it wasn't okay, it was just very intense.
What nearly broke it was when I was finally unmasking and learning how to love myself, because you first did that for me. When I first unmasked, somewhat a little bit, you accepted and loved it and really helped me, especially when it came to me being truthful about what actually happened in 2011.
Pushed for that, 100%.
Yeah. So I came out a little bit and I felt like, wow, this is really nice, and some of my health issues really subsided. So I kept following down that line, and because I started to understand why I had all these health issues and skin issues and addictions, and because I was finally on a healthier and right journey for myself, I started to really unmask, and I still expected that same support. But because I took all 7 of my masks off at once, and it was just it was too much for you all at once, and you had to ask for those breaks. So I had to put those masks back on. But that's what really killed me. You gave me a little bit of that love and support, but then you took it away from me once I really unmasked. But it was just, too much all at once, obviously.
It was very hard for me to listen to, and I showed you that by giving you a break, not from you, not from the relationship, just from the stories, just from your past. And I didn't understand at the time that was putting your mask back on, and that really, really hurt you. Yeah, just I have really big emotions and shut myself down every time I got emotional. So every time I would feel like that, I wouldn't tell her that I'd feel like that.
Like, stop judging me and really listen. Stop being so insecure, because you always had the perspective of you missed out. You finally were less insecure about listening to me, and instead of viewing me as the woman that I was faking it to be, you finally viewed me as the person that I was. And that's messy and chaotic.
What nearly broke us wasn't just one big event. It was the patterns that we didn't understand we were doing. Our relationship started off on sand, and there was a really, really rocky foundation. And we're only understanding that now by really going back into our past and understanding what our abusers did to us. Now we're trying to unlearn those years of patterns that were actually molded for us.
The invisible baggage that a lot of survivors bring into their relationships or marriages that people just will never understand. We weren't fighting about the surface stuff when we were unmasking and unraveling everything and trying to build a better foundation or a stronger foundation. We were just fighting about safety and security. We just wanted to feel safe and comfortable in our own skins, but because we were masking or in survival mode from our childhoods and what our abusers did to us, we were carrying all this invisible baggage, but we didn't understand what it was. You would always shut down.
Yeah, I got defensive. I just blocked myself out.
What would I do?
Yell.
Yeah. We were in that survival mode for so long, we were just like on autopilot. Yeah, I think that was the big shift for me emotionally and feelings wise, was when we finally got through the hard part of knocking our walls down and rebuilding the foundation, which sort of looked like just understanding how to communicate with each other a lot better and understanding what each other needs. And because I was just unmasking and I was trying to love myself, you also loving me and loving messy Shannon and accepting me just really helped me unmask all the way.
I had to stop being insecure about my own life, about the things that I didn't do, about the things that I missed out on, about sheltering myself and not getting out there. I had to realize that your stories were a personal attack on my shelteredness.
Yeah. It was just so crazy that when I was being more myself and telling you the truth about my upbringing and the truth about what actually happened in 2011 and how it was dealt with, and I was really unmasking to you about everything I had done. And I wasn't this perfect woman who knew her number and had everything going and I was perfect. When I finally dropped the act, the yin and yang really, really balanced us out then, just because I was pretending to be more of this perfect woman, but because I was the complete opposite end of the spectrum and you were already here, it really just balanced us out. Because you had lived such a sheltered life and mine was completely unsheltered. Once we understood how to use that for each other and not against each other anymore, that's where our strength really came out.
Both having traumas in our lives definitely helped as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The fact that I was sheltered and had really intense feelings, but then also really early in my life, very, very, very at the pretty much start of my life, went for a traumatic event, that also helped me be less insecure. Yeah, but stop listening to your stories and thinking it was a personal attack or something insecure because I had something of my own. Because I was already messed up.
Two people just balancing out our traumas in our childhoods. Because I've absolutely met men like you before, really good men who could balance me out, but because they just had such prominent and amazing upbringings, I was too much for them. I really was. I put some good guys through the ringer and made them run for the hills, absolutely.
Yeah. And I would never say that you were never too much for me. That's why I needed the breaks. That's why I just like saying I never wanted you to go away. I just needed to understand how it was working.
I think you just needed to process the actual person that I was hiding for over 4 years.
Safety didn't arrive all at once. It arrived in small moments where nothing bad was happening.
It was nice to finally just feel what a happy, healthy relationship for us looked like, because it's very different. Once we stopped listening to other people's advice who got into relationships really knowing themselves and loving themselves and not really having abusers in their life, you know, or walking away as survivors and having that invisible baggage, and we finally found a way to communicate that's healthy for us. I think we were so stuck in the mentality of just doing what society says, or doing what other people says, or doing what the happy, healthy social norm is. Everyone is so different. Everyone goes through different things. Everyone has trauma. It's true. Everyone pays a trauma tax. The amounts that people pay in their trauma tax will be different to others.
And we didn't have the luxury of healing ourselves before our relationship. So we had to heal ourselves while in a relationship and with a child.
Yeah. Invisible stress and trauma, it really is just a silent, deadly killer. For us becoming parents and raising a kid of our own is just forcing us to relive all the traumas that we didn't address in our own childhoods.
And all the practices that we're not putting in place or disciplining ourselves to do. You have to discipline yourself to be a better father and better partner.
And it's a practice, really. It is a practice.
Didn't become closer by doing more.
We became closer by finally feeling safe.
If you're in a relationship after trauma and it feels hard, you're not broken.
It doesn't mean you're bad at love. It usually means safety was something that you were just never taught.
And safety can be learned.